Now, Jocasta Urena, MSED, Early Childhood Special Educator for New York City Public Schools and Bridge Multimedia, will show us 4 practical activities for bringing music and STEM together. And the STEMIEFest bebop mechanics are ready to play.
Just as you've been learning throughout our conference, young children love to learn about STEM. You can use music to help enrich their experience. Take, for example, the song Night and Day. You can take this opportunity to teach your child about how some animals sleep all day long and run, hunt, and play at night, while other animals are just like us. They play during the day and they sleep at night. You can also come up with a card game where children match a moon next to the animals that sleep at night or a sun next to the animals that sleep during the day. Once the children have received some background information, play the song and enjoy.
This song is called Night and Day. Did you know that some animals, like cats, sleep all day and run around at night, while others, like dogs, are awake during the day and sleep at night? Think about that. Night and day, you are the one. Only you beneath the moon and under the sun. Whether near to me or far, it's no matter, darling, where you are, I think of you. Night and day, day and night. Why is it so that this longing for you follows wherever I go? In the roaring traffic's boom, in the silence of my lonely room, I think of you. Night and day, night and day, under the hide of me, there's such a hungry yearning burning inside of me, and its torment won't be through till you let me spend my life making love to you day and night, night and day. Torment won't be through till you let me spend my life making love to you day and night, night and day. Night and day. Night and day, day and night, night and
The 4 seasons is a common theme in early childhood. Young children are just becoming aware of all the changes that are occurring in nature and all around them. The song Summertime is a great song for teachers to use in this unit of study. Perhaps included in your early literacy circles. Help students make lists about all the changes that are happening during the summer. Make sure to model writing and include lots of pictures to help students make connections. It's also a great song for parents to use after a long walk. Ask your child lots of questions about what they're noticing. Is the temperature hot? Is it cold? Is it windy outside? When you get home, play the song and enjoy.
Here's a song called Summertime. Did you ever notice how noisy summer is? Bees buzz, birds chirp, fish splash, ocean waves crash. How many summer sounds can you think of? Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich, and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, oh no, don't you cry. One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing. Then you'll spread your wings and you'll take to the skies. But till that morning, oh, there's nothing can harm you, baby. With mommy and daddy standing by, standing by. Summertime, living is easy. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-da, yeah.
Since the beginning of time, human beings have been intrigued by all the celestial bodies we see above us. In addition to being a beautiful song, Fly Me to the Moon will get your little one dreaming about the great bulb in the sky. Parents can incorporate technology to show their child the different phases of the moon. Make sure you talk to your child about basic facts of why we see the different phases. Teachers can expand on this by creating a solar system using arts and crafts which children will love to manipulate. Both teachers and parents can go online and check out some reputable sites where you can see pictures of the moon, of its surface, its surroundings. It would be a great activity for students to learn about their environment here on Earth and outside of it. Most importantly, have a great time and get swinging.
Here's a song called Fly Me to the Moon. Have you ever looked up at the moon? Isn't it shiny and bright? Did you know people can go up there on spaceships? Think about that.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like, Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Hey,
Fill my life with song. Let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I
Depending on where you are, it's easy to forget to look up at the stars. But I always use music to help me pause and enjoy those big lights in the sky. Like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. It's a song I love to use with both my toddlers and with my preschoolers. With my toddlers, I use it to teach them how to mimic my movements and also to engage with me in social interactions. With my preschoolers, I use it to introduce math concepts. For example, I'll ask my children to place a star next to the same picture on a board. When they're done, I'll ask them to count with me and see how many stars we have. When they're done with that, we get to peel them off and sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. My kids really enjoy it. They get to either sing or dance or both if they choose. What activity would you like to do with your preschooler or toddler using Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star? Now let's enjoy this recording of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, New Orleans style.
Now we're going to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. When you look up at the sky at night, have you ever counted the stars? How many do you see? Where do you think they are? Think about that while we move to the beat.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, I wonder what you are. Yeah, you're up above the world so high. Yeah, like a diamond in the sky. Hey, twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Twinkle, twinkle, little
Oh,
star.
how I wonder what you are.
How I wonder what you are.
Up above the world so high.
Up above the world so high.
Like a diamond in the sky.
Like a diamond in the sky.
Twinkle,
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 yeah.
twinkle,
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 twinkle.
twinkle, twinkle.
Twinkle, twinkle, white and bright.
Twinkle, twinkle, white and bright.
Twinkle, twinkle through the night.
Twinkle, twinkle through the
Yeah,
night.
twinkle, twinkle, bright and strong.
Twinkle, twinkle, bright and strong.
Twinkle, twinkle all night long.
Twinkle, twinkle all night
Hey,
long.
twinkle.
Twinkle,
Come on,
twinkle,
twinkle.
twinkle, yeah.
Twinkle.
Twinkle, twinkle,
Yeah.
twinkle, yeah, yeah.
The STEMIEFest bebop mechanics are Anna Hoffman, vocals, Takeshi Ogura, guitars and electric bass, Victor C. Ewan, percussion, Kenny Bronner, piano, vocals, arranger, and musical director, Ria Maciaris, ASL interpreter, Jason Hammonds, visual designer and editor, Eva DePorter, video artist and editor, George Mazur, recording engineer, Carlos Storm Martinez, music technologist, Matt Kaplowitz, executive producer. It's time for Q&A. Jocasta Urena, MSED, Early Childhood Special Educator, New York City Public Schools, and Bridge Multimedia, will answer questions about her presentation, Bringing Music and STEM Together, 4 Practical Activities. Chi-Ying Lim is the moderator.
Hi, thank you so much, Jocasta, for that really lovely and wonderful presentation on how we can, use music to support STEM learning. And
Thank you for having me.
please, if you have questions for Jocasta, please type it into the Q&A box. And we do have also, with us today, Christine Herodine, who is also part of the STEMI team, and I'm Chi-Ying Lim. And we are glad to be moderating this session and also to be having a conversation with Jocasta. So, Jocasta, I've got a question about, using these with kind of younger children, like babies, how would you encourage families to use these musical videos or music with families and with babies?
So Babies and toddlers are naturally drawn to music. I think they basically gravitate to anything that's musical. I love to play music in the classroom as a whole and start with that and then incorporate books. So one method that I ask parents to try at home is to try and play a song, have their child mimic their movements. The parent can model by raising their arms up and kind of incorporating language at the same time. For example, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. I would tell my toddler or my youngster to open and close their hand like mommy or like daddy, so we can sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Young children will begin to make those connections very quickly if we incorporate language and movement with music.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you naturally use music as a springboard to talk about the world. And I think unless you're a musician, that may not necessarily occur to people. And I love that. How did you think to start doing this?
In all honesty, one reason is because I have a visual impairment. And when I was younger, it was a little difficult to read. I had to bring things close to my face. But I noticed that listening to music was very organic to me. And when I would tie in a song with a book that was somewhat related, it helped me become more interested in the actual book. So it was a connection for me between the music and the literacy piece.
I love that. And we all know that there's some great children's literature out there that talk about music and also the talk about STEM ideas also. I know Eric Carle has done a really good job, and lots of his are sort of musically written. There are some other authors that do that as well.
And I know that for many parents, their children might be struggling, let's say, with ADHD, with autism spectrum disorders. Young children naturally want to move. So if we incorporate music and movement into our literacy practices, it actually might encourage your child to become a better reader and a happier reader more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. And and because I really like your ideas about, how you can kind of embed this within your daily schedule, and even, to use the music as kind of part of a transition from one activity, like coming in from outside and going into another activity. And I think, I felt that that's a really good way to kind of make those connections, like, from perhaps like one outdoor STEM activity into like something else that you're doing within the classroom as well.
Yeah. So for example, with music and transition, I think one of my major points to parents is to be consistent. If your child has a very difficult time transitioning from one activity to another, perhaps use the same instrument at home. It could be a homemade shaker with like a tube of toilet paper and some rice inside. It can be a bell. Use a consistent item and give the child a warning that the activity is going to end in 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, and then make that sound with that instrument so that the child starts to anticipate it every time.
How do you work the children into participating in the music while it's going on?
I think one of the major ways that I do that is by, at the very beginning of the year, we make our own instruments. So making the child a participant of the activities in the classroom from the very beginning. This can happen at home as well with the parents. Creating the instruments from the very beginning so that the child has something that is theirs and that they feel they have ownership with. And that they can use with different activities. So that's one way that I get them to participate in music. They know they have their instrument, it belongs to them. When the song begins to play, they're very excited to participate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And we do know that, we have all these wonderful, amazing videos of musical instruments that can be made from everyday objects that the little orchestra has done for us, and these will all be made available in our media cubbies at the end of STEMIEFest. Yeah, so I think that will be a nice kind of connection.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing is not having expectations that your child should be moving in a certain way. People feel music in different ways. Sometimes my children don't want to raise their hands when I ask them. They're flapping them around. That's fine. I want them to start engaging with me and slowly begin to mimic. Children will develop at different rates, and that's totally fine. It's more praising them for initiating movement and engaging with me one-on-one.
I love that. Are there any for teachers and for parents who might be just starting out using music with their kids sort of in a conscious way like this? Are there any musical resources? I know you knew that we were going to ask this, didn't you? I know our participants are so excited about or sharing. I know they're hungry for resources. Are there any resources that you would recommend? Songs or soundtracks or places to find music?
So some resources for music. I think that your public library has a huge selection of videos that can be used by parents and by teachers. So it can be, you can log in, you can create an account through your public library in your state and download some free videos, especially now during this unfortunate time that we're all living in. Many programs will allow teachers and parents to download their contents for free, and it will disappear from your online library automatically. So that's one great resource.
That's a great idea. Thank you for sharing that.
Right. And we do have another question. Yokasta, do you ever make up songs in your classroom that use the STEM words in the lessons?
All the time. I make up songs all the time. And believe me, I am not looking to capitalize on my visual impairment, but the first person that a teacher and a parent should accommodate is yourself. If you want to be successful teaching your child, you need to be comfortable. And so for parents, for example, that may not speak English very well, sing songs in your language. You don't have to sing them in English. You're still singing and you're incorporating language with your child. If you, for example, have a hearing impairment and you're a teacher, use sign language while you're creating songs with your class. Anything that kind of jumps out at you that will make you more comfortable as the person presenting the information, use it to your advantage. I make up songs all the time. If I see a leaf falling somewhere, I'm like, oh, great idea. We're going to incorporate this into the wheels on the bus. The leaves on the trees fall down and down. Whatever comes to mind, I'll use it.
And I see a question coming in from Tina about what are some basic ways to incorporate STEM in music.
So some basic ways to incorporate STEM music is one is using tactile materials to construct your instruments, just like as a teeny orchestra did. So in materials around your home or in your environment. For example, if I want to construct a shaker, I may take a walk with my class and talk to them about the harshness of the barks of trees and tell them, why don't we make a shaker? We're going to pick up some of these little pieces of bark at the bottom of the trees and put them inside our tubes so they can make a sound. So basically looking at materials around your home and in your environment to create instruments that they can use all the time in music. Perhaps also going outside and engaging in music activities outdoors and using that as an opportunity to talk about the natural world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember doing an activity with my son, and just exploring, like trying to make a shaker with different kinds of materials, and it's kind of like discovering like which is the one that can make the loudest, noisiest, can be the noisiest, and like cotton wool, for example, if you put it into a shaker, it's like it's not too fun for him, but
But outside,
my husband totally likes it because it's quiet, but yeah.
and even bubbles. You can go outside with bubbles or the bubble wand and talk a little bit about air while you're dancing. And can you see where the bubbles are moving? Do you think the air is helping to push the bubbles? What do you think is helping the bubbles move up or down? That's a great way to start also getting them to think about STEM ideas while you're engaging in movement activities.
I love that. We just had a question about some basic ways to incorporate STEM into music, and I think you just gave some really great examples that are probably familiar to many people.
Yeah, I think, again, going back to many of our young children love to move and they love to explore. As long as you're incorporating some of these movements in your activities, I think children are naturally curious. You'll see them gravitate towards specific materials in your environment, around your home, outside of your home. Take those opportunities and run with them. Take those opportunities to talk about the shape, the feeling, the size, where it came from. Material will present itself to you as a teacher or parent.
And Yokasta, so how would you use music with nonverbal children to teach them about STEM?
So with nonverbal children, I like to give them the materials. Basically, it's along the same lines that I use with my verbal students in terms of giving them the opportunity to participate in the making process. The biggest difference is that I allow my nonverbal students to take more time exploring the materials so that they really become familiar. Many of our nonverbal students are very tactile sensitive. Sometimes they have specific aversions to different feelings. So I want to see what they're comfortable with. I don't want to push any type of material on them that they may not be comfortable with. So I allow them the opportunity to really explore those materials for a while, give them the opportunity to put them in bins, out of bins, and then move on to the creation process.
How about situations? Have you experienced children with some physical disabilities in your music group when you're incorporating STEM with movement? And if you have, how have you been able to sort of accommodate that?
So yes, I've experienced children who are non-ambulatory and children who are blind or visually impaired. With my non-ambulatory children, if they have an adaptive chair, we basically still engage in movement and dancing. I can give them scarves so they can wave them around if they are not unable to use their legs. Sometimes we'll decorate their wheelchair if they choose to do that. So that when they turn, it's almost like it has a skirt and it's also moving about. With my visually impaired students, a lot of adjectives. So my hands are up. They're waving from side to side. I'm going to, march with my feet. So you have to press your feet really hard into the ground. So a lot of adjectives and descriptive language when you're working with children with low vision. Similar with children who are hard of hearing, a lot of gestures and being very clear when you verbalize something so that they can read your lips and also see your gestures at the same time.
Thank you for those ideas. Those are amazing. Have you had any, what have you been doing about having to wear masks with children with low hearing?
Wow, that's been a little challenging, especially for the younger kids. So we have our handy dandy masks here. And usually what I've been saying, because we're doing remote learning, I've actually been wearing the clear masks so that they can get used to me. and they can become comfortable with me. In early childhood, it's all about trust, becoming comfortable, understanding that now you're going to be in a new environment, but you're still safe. So I've been using the clear mask so that they can see my expressions until hopefully we can come together face to face, and they can actually get to know me personally. So that's been working really well for me. Unfortunately, the clear masks are not allowed in my school once we are face to face. They're not considered N95 100% safe. But for remote instruction, I want them to get used to seeing me using something over my face because unfortunately, they're going to be dealing with that for a few months.
Thank you so much, Eucaster, for your time and for sharing all these wonderful ideas with us today. I think, we are right out of time. And so thank you.
You're welcome. I hope it was helpful. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us.